Hello, contractors, and welcome to Toolbox for the Trades. My name is Jackie Aubel, and today I am speaking with the owners of Tuck Howell in Greenville, South Carolina, Jay and Amanda Mahaffey. Since purchasing the company from Jay's uncle in January 2023, Jay and Amanda have tripled their revenue and doubled their team. I hope you enjoy listening to their story and growth strategies as much as I did. Amanda and Jay Mahaffey, you are the owners of Tuck Howell in Greenville, South Carolina. Today, I'm going to talk with you both about how you work together as a team to grow your business from 4.3 to 11.2 million in less than 2 years. Very impressive stuff. Welcome to the show.
Woohoo, yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you for
Thanks for
having
having
us.
us, Jackie.
Yeah.
I am so excited to chat with you guys. During our pre-interview, you guys displayed so much energy and enthusiasm. I know you just got back from an amazing conference where you learned a ton. So I can't wait to pick your brain, but we're going to start this off with an icebreaker like I always do. I want to know what's something that you've learned about Jay since you guys have started working together at Tuck Howell that you didn't know before.
I did not realize that Jay was as quick of an action taker as he is. We go through our financial statements every month and we'll, make a business decision of what we should do next. And as soon as we make that decision, within probably, I'm not joking, 30 minutes, he's on the phone. He's like, okay, we'll meet you next week. We'll have scheduling a Zoom and getting the ball rolling. So he's super quick at making business decisions and implementing them, which I think in the industry, that's what we've, with our mentor groups and people that we pick their brains, they're like, move quick. And then he's also really good at making tough decisions, which I have not necessarily struggled with. I love people. So when you have to let go of someone that you really like,
yeah,
he's just built different than me. But I've learned both of those about him.
My uncle was tough on me.
Yeah.
But he did that. He was preparing me for the world to go back to taking action. Time is money and we have to act fast. They say implement fast. And that's what we do. We do the best that we can in creating processes and procedures for those actions, but we have to act fast. So yeah, if I could just add about
Sure.
Amanda, I have found that she is really, really good at compiling data. She was a financial analyst and she is a beast with the numbers. I know all those many late nights that she was working and I didn't realize that she was preparing for our future, and seeing her take all the data and just simplify it for me. Cause of course I'm starting to learn, I've learned the financials, I've learned the numbers, but before I thought it was a really, really hard task, and she's made it simplified for me. And it's really amazing.
I used to tell him, I'm like, it's so cool. I swear, financials are so cool. You should learn them. But I think that he now realizes the importance of financials.
But talk about it. That's like but that's so incredible. You're great at firing and you're great at analyzing numbers. Like it seems like you guys have just
really good at firing. Yeah.
She makes me sound mean, Jackie.
I don't think, I'll give you a pass on that. I don't know you personally. I haven't been fired by you yet. I hope I still have a lot of life ahead of me. We'll never know where life will take us. But this is talking to how a wife and a husband running a business together, you guys can really complement each other with your different skill sets and your different talents.
Yeah. The cliche, hire slow, fire fast. You have to, at the end of the day, it's like someone grabbing your wallet and taking a brick of cash out of it and handing it right back to you. So you have to make sure that you're making really fast firing decisions. That can cost you a lot of money.
We'll say it's his superpower.
We'll roll with that if that's what you want.
There you go. Well, you've already hinted at it a bit, Jay, but you mentioned your uncle. He was hard with you. He taught you some stuff. I want to hear about your backgrounds and how you eventually decided to purchase Tuck Howell from your uncle. So Jay, why don't you tell me how you got into the business and then became owner? And then Amanda, I want to hear a little bit about what you did before you joined the business.
Yeah, absolutely. So started here at Tuck Howell when I was 7 years old. Little boy sweeping the floor, helping my father, and my uncle he didn't pay me much, but
He pay you in lollipops?
Yeah, he paid me in lessons, and I didn't see it at the time because everyone wants money fast. But what I got was lessons and lifelong learned lessons, and learned how to install, worked my way into service, got into sales. I told Amanda when we hit $4 million in sales, I was actually working for a competitor at the time because I left working for the family business.
So why did you leave working for the family business?
Oh, you want to hear that? My uncle, he fired me a couple times. The first time he fired me, he was sitting on the dock. He said, Jay, you're 7 minutes late. He said, you're fired. Go ahead and go home, and we'll talk 6 months to a year when you get your stuff together. So I said, okay. The second time around, I guess I didn't learn the first lesson, but nonetheless, it's crazy. I actually thanked him for firing me 2 years ago. But anyways, it was always the prove it to me to him. And so after I had hit $4 million in sales, I told Amanda we were gonna start our own business. But the missing component throughout all of that was brand, and we didn't know a name. So a friend of mine, a mentor of mine, Alan Crick, used to actually work for ServiceTitan. I had started doing some research on branding and like businesses, and I had ran across Bullseye. And I said, dang, I think that's Alan's company. I called him. He said, yeah. He started talking about this brand and Kick Charge. He said, yeah. I'll give you Dan's number. I said, wait, you know Dan? What's Dan's last name? Dan Antonelli. I said, oh, that's cool. So anyways, I'm giving Dan a shout out because I feel that I truly owe it to him for putting us in business. And
yeah, that was when you decided.
I'm
ready.
I read. Dan said, Jay, you have to read the book. You can't get the brand until you read the book. And I read the book from cover to cover, and in that, the proverbial light bulb went off. And I told her when I set the book down, I said, I'm ready. Let's do this. And so I took it back to my uncle and I said, hey, we're starting a business name. I'm gonna start a company. Amanda and I we're gonna go and venture out. And he said, I thought you were gonna buy Tuck and Howell. I said, well, hell, Jerry, you don't want to sell Tuck and Howell. He said, yeah, I do. I'm ready to go. So I said, well, let's do it. Time's of the essence, and let's go ahead and let's do it right now. So we went ahead and moved forward with that. But that is how we got into the business. And I always wanted to carry on the family legacy. It was part of who I am. And being that I grew up working here when I was a little boy, it's just a cool story.
That story of I was 7 minutes late and I got fired, that sounds like something out of my family lore. So like I kind of get the vibe there. But what an incredible story and kind of a full circle moment. So Amanda, you had a finance background.
Yeah.
When did you join? Was it decided that you were going to join when Jay was like, we're purchasing the business? How did that go?
Yeah. So I started accounting when I was 18. I worked for Jersey Mike Subs. I did 21 stores. I did bookkeeping for 21 stores for 8 years. And then I moved to a company called IGY and worked under a really, really good boss who actually ended up being the CFO for one of our competitors. And he taught me a lot of financial, making sense of raw data and compiling it, financial statements and financial analysis and balance sheet reconciliations for all you financial gurus out there. I love financial statements. They're my jam. When he decided to buy the company, we left. We liquidated our 401k, sold both of our cars because we were prepared to potentially, not do really well at first. We jumped in and
head down selling.
Went in together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang, that's awesome. What a story. Yeah. So I want to hear, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced when you purchased the brand, and how did you go about addressing them?
I would definitely say 100% walking in from an employee to an employer.
Yeah.
With 35 people looking up to you to make sure that they can have a secured paycheck each and every single week. And what that is true leadership. And, I was the leader of our household, but all of a sudden we're signing checks, right? And so we're responsible for those 35 families eating. And we had to make sure that we had the calls, we had the bills paid, we had the lights on, we had
the money in the bank.
Yeah. So I went from a hustler to a leader and still trying to figure out the whole leader role, right? I think that we all are, right?
Yeah.
And so we all can speak to that.
I think the biggest challenge walking in was I had my own first set of financial statements. I owned them. They weren't somebody else's. And
yeah. So
coming in and being able to go in and identify, hey, I don't have anybody else to ask or anybody else to look to are these decisions the right decisions? And so we built a business plan out of them and we had to implement fast. And so I think that was challenging. We implemented ServiceTitan. We added plumbing, rebranded. We added a new website. We changed pay structures, went into a new accounting software within 6 months because we had to make change fast because the company needed it.
Mind you, studying for plumbing tests.
Yeah.
And I'm a heating and air guy. It was a lot.
We came in and made change fast. And I think the challenge with that is the people that were there had been there for a long time. This is a 55-year-old legacy company. So the challenge behind making so many changes, and, they think these young kids are coming in here. They don't know what the hell they're doing. I've always gotten along with everybody that I work with. And so not being liked was new to me. And so kind of rolling with that because I knew that we were making the right changes. We networked, we pick a lot of brains. And so I knew the direction we were going was the right direction. Having them believe that also was challenging.
Yeah. And especially with the added baggage there of you being part of the family, you left for a bit, now you're coming back. I could definitely see how that could add more fuel to the fire.
Yeah, they thought we were crazy as hell.
Well, you didn't just put a new layer of paint on. You basically gutted the whole thing, and which it sounds like for the better. You really made some incredible improvements, and we're going to get into that in a second. But I'm curious, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but out of the 35 employees that you that you inherited when you bought the company, how many of those original 35 are still with you?
6 is the original.
Yeah. 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that goes back to top grading and making sure that you have the best team. It has to piss you off to be the second place to work here. And we're a room full of winners. How much money it costs to put your tires in that customer's driveway is a lot of money. We have to make sure that we're maximizing opportunity. And also on the flip side, making sure that we are doing a good ethical service for our customers, because ultimately that is what the founders of this company built this company on. And we will do that by all means. I don't want the money. I don't need the money if it's not right. And so making sure that things are done by our protocol and the way that we operate our business, that's the biggest thing.
That was the most challenging part, getting everybody on board.
Getting everybody on board.
And then they were seeing us let people go. So that was another hard part.
It was hard.
They saw a lot of change.
When you guys came in, it sounds like you had a high expectations for yourselves. You were holding yourselves to high standards because you had seen how other companies could do it. Like you said, Amanda, picking everyone's brain. You knew you were going in the right direction. You just needed people on your team who were going to help you rise to those standards.
Right.
But also, I think something that, we're kind of circling around here is if you're at a company for 40 years, 30 years, and you're not being challenged, you're not being encouraged to think differently or think outside the box or question the way you've always done things, that can become really stagnant and that can make people feel maybe a little restless. So it sounds like those 6 people, they've gotten to experience something incredible, which is the refreshing of a brand that they've contributed to.
Can I tell you something I learned? Actually, I learned this last week and I heard this and it actually caught me off guard. Retention sometimes is not always good.
Tell me.
Because if you settle for this, you're going to get this every single time, right?
Yeah.
So we have to have this. We have to keep trying to get that. And so, people walk into businesses and they say, I want everybody to stay. But do you really want everyone to stay? Because you have to really rehire them. We do a personality exam here. It's required before pre-employment. We will not hire and then, by the way, you got to do this. We're required. No, it's pre-employment exam.
That was a famous Tommy Mello statement.
Which
The
one? Which
retention
one?
sometimes is not always.
Yeah, and he's like, people are always like, retention. What's your retention? And he's like, it's okay not to have retention. He's like, sometimes you don't want retention.
Yeah.
Saying in other words, if you don't have your top performers in there, why in the heck are you trying to retain them? It just hit home with us. We're like, you know what? It is okay to be like, you know what? You're not a top performer. If you're not going to follow with our leadership and our plan, we're going to provide you the training. We're going to provide you the leads. We're going to provide you the tools, the vehicle, the environment. We even got 2 cats. I mean, we got you.
What are the names? Okay, first up, most important, what are the name of the cats?
Marvin and Margaret. So we
Perfect.
raised them as a team since they were babies too. So it's been really fun. But we're like, we've got you. So you know what? If you aren't willing to follow our path and know that, trust us, then it's okay that you go somewhere else. Retention's okay. Not having you is okay.
Yeah, we came in at 35 employees and we have 63 now. So about 54 of those helped raise those 2 cats. So it's been really cool.
It's been fun.
That's so cool.
They definitely are are the center of attention in a lot of the meetings. So
As they
they
should
come
be.
to the front of the room. Yeah,
They should
sure.
be.
Cool.
What's the personality test that you give them?
We're switching over to Who Hire.
Okay, cool.
I don't know what the name of their actual personality exam is, but that's the direction we're moving. It's a
cool.
company called Who Hire.
It's the most valuable dollars you can spend. Do you want to tell her about the $500,000 check?
Yeah, when we were in a demo, it was another thing that hit home. It was the other week. So we used to just fill warm bodies. We're a new company. And it just felt like we were just trying to get people in place to help us do what we needed to. And so now I feel like since we've rebranded and built a company that people actually want to work at, we're able to pick, right? We're able to pick from a selection of people. So one of their concepts was it's very expensive to hire, right? And so he said, write a fake $500,000 check. And on the back, quit writing a job description, write personality traits that you're looking for in a hire and the metrics that you expect them to have, and then write a kill date. And if it doesn't align, then you got to move on, just because of, hiring people it's expensive. And I think that the cost of new hires, sometimes people forget, it's expensive.
This is really good, isn't it?
And I was like,
Wait,
you know what?
So when you take an actual check, that you write it for $500,000, and on the back you write down all the personality traits and what you're looking for in this employee, and then you put a kill date. You said so, like if they don't fill it by that date,
maybe they didn't say kill date. They might have put like an end date.
I like kill date a lot more. It's a lot more powerful.
I naturally say kill date, but yes, I mean, but I think it really just puts
that
on
90-day
your
period,
team and on your management, like, hey, this is how expensive it is. And Laura Kelly, her team at Clover hosted that. And I listened to it and I was like, I really like this. And so that's the direction
they specialize in stuff for the trades, by the way.
Yeah.
Is one of their specialties.
I'm excited.
I think it's not the only, but it's one of the specialties.
Oh, Laura Kelly from what's the name of the company?
With Clover.
With Clover. Okay, cool. Yeah. Good tip for those looking at it. I mean, I think the visualization, the writing things out, I mean, they do that in dating programs too, like write out exactly the traits that you're looking for and be really specific about it. But onboarding is so expensive, like finding the time, hiring the person. You don't have time to just like wait for them to figure it out.
I always say here, the heating and air and the plumbing is easy. It's the people. It's the people that is the hard part.
Yeah.
And if you can figure the people out, but make sure you hire right. That's the biggest thing. Tommy Mello prides himself on hiring the best. I listened to a lot of his stuff, and it's really impacted me a lot. So.
Well, you're definitely giving Tommy Mello interview caliber guest right now. So maybe one day you'll be on there, Jay.
You say so.
Speaking of, saying plumbing and HVAC is easy. The plumbing wasn't always easy, because one of the things you did when you first took over the company was you opened up the plumbing division. I want to hear a little bit more about how you made that decision and what the impact it's had on your business. And I know it wasn't easy at first.
Yeah, absolutely. So my favorite saying in this whole entire industry is that we crawl by more work in one day than we could do in a month if we just offered those services. I was finding myself to literally be grabbing the water heater just to get into a crawl space so I could go look at the furnace.
Yeah.
And so when I'm doing that, I'm like, oh, wow, there's a piece of equipment I could sell for, call it anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000, maybe an upgrade, maybe from $4,000 to $7,000. The plumbing really complements the heating and air, and the heating and air complements the plumbing. The trades run together, and you take a software like ServiceTitan, for instance. I mean, it really runs together. So is the KPIs. I mean, you're almost tracking the same thing: productive labor, average ticket, closing ratio, things like that.
Your gross margin for the plumbing division is better than the HVAC division.
Wow,
too.
really?
So we were like, they say, we hear a lot, and I'm sure people have different opinions, but
of course,
60 to 65% gross margin on plumbing, and it's the golden child. I mean,
the reason for that is there's such a shortage of plumbers, and typically the first person to the door gets the job. Think about it. If you don't have plumbing, or running toilet, things like that, water when you get home, it's a showstopper. It renders your house useless. You have to leave there and go somewhere to shower, things like that. So typically, if you could offer a good service and get there when you say you're going to get there and be reasonably priced, you can get really good money for basic plumbing necessities. Went from 0 to 5 plumbers, just hired our 6th, and it's about a 55% gross margin. and we're in growth mode. We're buying tools that I've never heard of, but my plumbers say they need it, so we get it. We get it for them.
We're working on our gross margin, and we've done what since since August 2023, about $2 million in plumbing.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we have realized that only 14% of our customers use us for plumbing. So that is a whole new market share that we're going to be able to capture. So working on that.
Awesome stuff. All right. Well, that is really exciting. I want to hear more, especially from Amanda, how you've leveraged data and KPIs. I mean, you already had those gross margin numbers right on the top of your head, which way to go you. I want to hear how you've used data and KPIs to leverage, how to leverage them to make informed business decisions.
From day one, when we looked at the company, that was the first step. Literally step one, we looked at the financial statements and went through, created our business plan on the financial statements, looked at it line by line. And I was like, unapplied labor, what in the world is unapplied labor? And Jay mentioned Alan Crick was one of our first people that we really kind of picked his brain. I was like, Alan, what are the industry margins? And so I really just started looking at it departmentalized of what's industry margins and where was the company at. So we went from there, developed our business plan, implemented it, and then we every month go line by line through our financial statements and say, okay, why are we high? What is this? We use our financial statements to make every decision we make. And now we also have that for our team in-house. We use DataCube where they pull from the back end of ServiceTitan, which is like a dashboard for ServiceTitan, to create a competitive, healthy atmosphere within the company. And so they see their KPIs. I see their booking rate, their inbound calls, their closing rate, their average tickets, you name it. We are KPI metrics people. It feeds the financial statements. You've got good metrics. It leads to your financials. So that is how we make every decision. And our team is now making every decision on that, as well as management. And we do performance pay based on those metrics. So it's really cool to see people walking up to their dashboard and being like, you know, what's my closing rate? What's my...
Yeah, well, the first they wanted to know what it was.
Yeah, so we, of course, we sat down. We're very open with our numbers. We explain, we show our budget, we show our actual revenue, we show all KPIs, and we love metrics. That's our jam.
Can I add something to that real quick?
Of course, yeah, of course.
So, you know, they track KPIs in sports. They track it in football. They track it in baseball. They track it, I mean, virtually every sport. So why would you not do that in this industry? And so I think it's the science behind the P&L ultimately, right? It's what makes up the grand scheme of all the numbers to start with. So the KPIs are the daily P&Ls.
And I'm proud of this guy because he used to be like, financial statements. I'd be like, babe, you should look at this P&L. Or I'd show him stuff back before we owned Tuck Howell. And I was like, wanted to explain it. I would go in the room and I would tell him financial stuff, and he didn't care. He thought it was rocket science, but it's really not. People think it's so hard. It's as simple as watching YouTube.
I ignored it because I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And one
he's
day,
obsessed with it now. He loves it. I'm like, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, I could take anyone
awesome.
and teach it to them because it's that simple.
Yeah.
Most people ignore it because it's a gazillion numbers, but it's the most gazillion numbers you need to pay attention to.
My kids even know now. KPIs
Amazing.
and balance sheets. I mean, that's how easy it is. If my teenagers can learn it, that's how easy it is.
Well, the fact that you've got teenagers to care about it enough to learn it. I mean, kudos to you.
Well, they're. I think we're creating monster entrepreneurs. But I'm like, you will be thankful you know this one day.
That's awesome. Have you guys ever met Ellen Rohr?
I love Ellen Rohr. Yes, she is. I really, really, really look up to her. I'm actually in a girls group with her, Catherine, Megan Likes, Stephanie Ellen, tons of people.
That's right. That's right.
Sarah Hepworth, love them.
Oh my gosh.
They've been huge inspirations
Ellen,
to me as far as financials. Ellen's like the financial guru.
She is. And she's like, this is easy. This is really simple stuff. It's black and white. It's numbers. Like you can't make up any stories behind these.
Yeah, numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie. So I love that. I love that you were able to do that, and you were able to. I love that you're now obsessed with KPIs, Jay. That is inspirational.
Yeah, I'm really proud of him.
I want to add one thing about Ellen. Ellen, she has probably been one of the most impactful females in the trades of all time, and I've never told her that, but I'm dead serious. Like she's
powerhouse.
When she talks, everyone listens.
Yeah.
You know, Yeah, it's really,
As they should.
she's very
Numbers
inspiring.
don't lie, and she's just trying to let everybody know.
As they
I
should.
love that she's financial oriented. She knows the financials.
But she does it in such a way that she's like, let me help you, like, let me support you. She's just, and she's so accessible. I'm pretty sure she listens pretty regularly. So I'm going to make sure she listens to this episode so she can hear how much we're loving on her. We already talked a little bit about company culture, right? And like having that high standard that for yourselves, for your employees. And you kind of alluded to it actually when we were talking about KPIs, about how your texts are like, what's my closing rate? Wait, why is it like this? Like you're getting them invested in it. So I want to hear some ways that you're fostering a positive and thriving work environment.
First of all, people want to provide for their family, but also people want to have fun and they want to be proud of their workplace.
You want to come to work, right?
Yeah.
We all do.
The heating and air conditioning part, the plumbing part, that's the easy part, but the people part, they say it's the hard part. And it is a little bit of that, but it's not as hard as everyone makes it out to be. And if you're kind and
you hire right.
But too, a lot of companies talk about their budget. They talk about their numbers, their this, their that. Most employees don't care about your company budget. They care about their budget. They care about their family. So take the time to sit down with them and talk to them. Hey, how's home? How are things at home? What's your favorite sport? Don't talk a lick of business. If they bring it up, converse with them about it. But they want to see, yes, it's our goal to help them provide for their family, but also help them with their dreams, help them with their goals, help them with their aspirations.
We've seen a big
That's culture.
Since we've started doing one-on-ones and setting out their goals and creating and seeing how we can help them with their goals. And we do performance pay and incentive pay. So I think that's also another big part because it not only grows us, but it grows them. But our culture, we're trying to make we're working on making our building better. So people want to come and they enjoy being in a training room when you have training. We did a meeting to convince Jay. We all sat around and wore mustaches and did a petition on why we should get cats. And they have been so good for everybody. I mean, people come up to us all the time, and I'm not joking. They're like, I love that we have cats. They have been so good for us. They go lay around on everybody's desk, and now there's a precursor for the hiring. Hey, are you allergic to cats? Because if so, you can't work here. The cats aren't going.
The cats aren't going anywhere.
They're going anywhere.
But not only that, we really do care about growing our people. And I think that they feel it. And I feel like we're creating a culture of when you come in here, we want you to want to grow yourself and we want to help you get to your goals.
Yeah.
And, it feels like a team.
It has to be genuine though.
Yeah.
And because people feel it.
Yeah.
They know when you're being real and honest. And, your superpower is speaking from your heart. And so I just say, just speak from your heart and your culture will fall in line.
Another thing we've done for culture is we've hired a fun fairy. Her name's Cindy. She's great. She creates like competitions and all kinds of fun stuff just to keep things, peppy around the office. And like decorating contests for Christmas or for the Super Bowl, we did like a game board and
celebrating our plumber's child's birthday. Yeah. That's culture. People, that's the culture that you have to chase. Yeah. And so when people see that you care about their children,
we care about our people. They've helped us get here. One of my projects I've really focused on is making sure that people want to work here and people see that we also want to help them grow.
The first question you had asked us was, you had asked about what did I see in Amanda that I never really saw before? And I want to go back to that first question is I really did not know Amanda was capable of engaging to the level with people as she is. And it's heartfelt, it's real, it's genuine. I can run this business, Jackie. I don't feel I would ever be as successful if I didn't have that piece because that's the people piece. That's the culture piece. The revenue can come, the people can come and leave and go and you can hire them. But the real key players, the A1 players, the best ones will stay here because of that engagement. And that's the most important part of the culture.
And that's probably why I struggled so much because I love people. And I think that is why I struggled so much when we first came in here
Of not being liked.
of not being liked.
Yeah.
Like, here, you fire 'em.
Yeah.
I got to keep my persona. I got to keep my reputation.
But now
Yeah.
I have been able to get to a point where, yes, culture is important. But if you're not producing, you're not a top, if you don't want to invest in yourself, we can't invest in you. But if you're willing to invest in yourself and follow our leadership and follow what we're going for, we care about you. We want to grow you. We want to grow your income. We want to grow your family. And we want you to stay.
Yeah.
Because the people that have helped us get to where we are important.
They are.
Yeah.
I could hear it in your guys' voice. It comes off as incredibly authentic, incredibly genuine. You guys, by the way, are incredible guests / co-hosts. You're asking one another what they think about it. I'm obsessed. You're making my job very easy.
This is our first podcast, so we're trying.
This is going to be an excellent podcast audition reel for you guys to send
Jackie,
around to the trades.
It's easy when it's true passion.
Yeah.
You know,
We love business.
It's
We
all
love
it is.
entrepreneurship, and we love numbers. So yeah.
Well, we're coming to the end. Not that I want this conversation to end because I'm having such a great time with you guys, but I would love to hear, since you're still you purchased Tuck Howell in 2022, right?
2020.
January 2023.
So, guys, it's like two years and a bit of change. Like, you're still so fresh into this. You've done so much stuff, and I could see how excited you are, how much the company has just grown since you guys have taken the helm. What advice would you give other entrepreneurs who are considering buying an existing business or even starting their own in the trades? Jay, why don't you go first?
The best piece of advice I have someone coming in to buy a business, start a business, is to solidify your identity with your brand. Who you are, start with that, because when you look at the pictograph of Apple, you look at Target, you look at all these brands, it's so important. And because when you think of that brand, you immediately think of like their logo, you think of who they are. It's like a wheel. Each piece of that all supports the center, which is the brand. So you have to make sure that you can't mess that one up. You got to make sure it's
Call Dan.
Yeah, call Dan. Yeah.
Noted.
Yeah. Sorry, competitors. But do business with the best, partner with the best, hire the best marketing firms. But the most important is your financials. Understand the numbers, because you can really steer your ship in the wrong direction. And here's the numbers girl right here. What say you?
Yeah, well, I think this is a good example. So recently, I have a teenager, so I've been busy the last 2 months, a little, not less involved, just working maybe normal hours, not 80 or 90 hours. And our financials got 2 months behind or 3 months behind. And it felt like we were driving blind for the first time in a company. And so we're caught up now, and we got our financials. And I told Jay, I said, I will never feel like that again. That was the most unstable, it just didn't feel right. And so I think when you're going into a company, understand financials, watch a YouTube. It's not difficult. Do a YouTube on a P&L, balance sheet, a cash flow statement. It can make you or break you, because if you don't know your financials and you don't realize, hey, I'm not making any freaking money, I don't think that would be a really good idea.
If I could add one more, it's incentivize your people and pay them really well and on a performance pay model.
Yeah.
As an employee, before I did this, I made really good money because I worked hard.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can uncap their potential with money, it really separates the true performers from the non-performers. But some people want performance pay and they don't know they want performance pay. So you have to just be careful with that.
This is so core. This is like so fundamental to growth. And what I hear from successful entrepreneurs over and over and again, you have to make sure that your financial goals are tied to your employees' individual goals. You said it before, Jay, they don't care about your budget. They care about their budget. So you've got to find a way to incentivize them in that way. Guys, truly excellent episode. Thank you guys so much for sharing your thoughts. And I could tell how passionate you guys are about this. I have no doubt that you are also raising mega entrepreneurs right now. So I can't wait to interview them in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie.
You guys are fantastic. Is there anything we should have touched upon that we didn't get a chance to?
We love what we do. We love the people in the trades. And I think one key piece is network.
Yeah.
Network and network some more. I think we've had influential people. The other day I said Tommy Mello, Ken Goodrich, Leland
Smith. Yeah.
Ishmael
Valdez, Ellen Rohr, Catherine Howard.
Jonathan
Howell.
Jonathan Bancroft.
And I mean, name dropping,
Yeah.
yes, but they are so helpful. They are such open books. They want to truly help. Don't be afraid to ask and take note and then ask some more. That has been huge for us. And it's been super.
Don't be scared to ask. They want to help you
Yeah.
more than you think they do. And they were where you are.
We're in
at
a
some
really
point.
cool industry.
Maybe worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really cool. It's really cool. I did not know that all of that existed, and the network has really been our success and superpower. It's really been amazing.
Network.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent advice. Well, thank you guys both again.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much.
Appreciate it.
See ya.